Welcome to Build the Weight Loss Practice of Your Dreams. If you have questions about how to build your weight loss business, Carol Clark has answers. Join her each week as she and her expert guests share actionable steps to better outcomes for your clients and more revenue and referrals for you. It's time to experience your ultimate success and enjoy what you do each and every day.
Hi, everybody. It's Carol Clark, your bariatric business coach, and you are in for a treat today. I have with me today on the line Fred Pira. He is the CEO of Pronex Incorporated, which is a company that provides the tools that bariatric surgeons and bariatric programs desperately need. And I know this not only because I run a busy bariatric surgery practice, but when I talk to and I consult with bariatric programs all around the United States, it's one of the most common concerns that they have. And it's how to do the things that he actually produces the tools in order to be able to do. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but I'm going to introduce to you Fred, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about his background and how he's built his career and his business around these tools to help bariatric surgeons and bariatric programs succeed. So without further ado, Fred, if you could tell us a little bit about your story, that would be great.
Thank you so much, Carol. What a pleasure it is to be here with you today and have a chance to share our story with your audience. I appreciate that very much. We started 18 years ago, and I had been working for a very large software company. I had been working out like a madman and just was frustrated on how I was feeling. I probably had been logging about 180 miles of aerobic activity a month. You know, I was okay. I was, faced with a challenge of keeping my weight off, but I just wasn't feeling right. So I went to go see a doctor, and he did some tests, and he told me that I was insulin resistant. And we started this journey. We started out talking to the certified nutritionist, spent a great deal of time there, got an assignment to go ahead and collect a lot of information, fax it over to her, and then meet with her once a week. And I thought that there had been a better way, because I was selling software to large organizations like Eli Lilly, Walgreens, Caterpillar, Deere, that would track just a multitude of tasks and so forth, and would be able to do that in a very seamless way, leveraging technology. And when I reached the point of total frustration, I said, there's got to be a better way to provide this information. I had no intention of building a software company whatsoever. But I said, there's got to be a better way. I went out to search and could not find it. And that was the ability to capture information and share it seamlessly with the health professional at the other end. And at the time, .NET was not really developed too much. And so we started it out with a vision. And I met with a group of people, certified nutritionists, that were very interested in what we were doing. And we got lucky and collaborated with not only that organization, but also with the University of Chicago Bariatric Department, and began to build a software tool that went way beyond what we had, actually turned into an EMR for bariatric surgical practices, and brought us to where we are today, having patient flow, the core, and referral flow. And, I think to share with your audience today, patient flow is really a very strong tool that solves a problem. So, we're talking to a number of different bariatric surgical practices. We have proven that the tool works. It's patient relationship management at its very best, and it helps to remove all the obstacles that are in the continuum of care that bariatric surgical practices face.
That's awesome. I'm going to let you share a few things about patient flow, but can you tell me a little bit about what differentiates your program from some of the other things that are out there?
Sure. That's typically one of the key parts of the value proposition that we have to vet out almost from the very beginning. We have a very clear process that we go through. We generate interest. We have a conversation with that interested party. We provide an assessment that allows us to see scoring, a self-assessment that allows us to see scores in some key performance areas, and then we put together a demo based on that. So that's the very beginning. The second part of that differentiates us from everybody else is our ability to go ahead and be very interoperable friendly. We do not encourage that they change their EMR or get another EMR unless they're completely dissatisfied. We encourage a very detailed plan to evolve into a statement of work that provides a very high level of interoperability in multiple systems that allows a seamlessness to take place and allows the practice to eliminate all of their Excel sheets that they're working with and to be able to provide them with software. With a click of a mouse, they can get reports, they can find out what their surgery conversion rate is, they know where the payers are. And so when you begin to take a look at this in its entirety and how seamless it is and how easy it is to use, that is one of the key differentiators and a huge part of our value proposition when we're presenting to bariatric surgical practices.
Right. I like the fact that it's more customized. It's not just one standard thing. And the other thing is that you show really how a return on investment is realized. And I know I saw that firsthand with regards to some of the cool things you have with how you manage the pipeline. And then not a lot of practices get too involved in the marketing side of it. But for me, I thought it was so exciting that you could actually track your return on investment for your marketing, because you can track where all your leads are coming from, any online endeavors or any boots on the ground efforts you're having in your community and that sort of thing, which is very different from other things that I've seen. And I've seen about everything, it seems like. So if you don't mind, I was going to see if you might be able to demonstrate a few of those aspects for those that are on the call or listening today.
Sure, absolutely. Let me get to share screen. Here's a picture of, or a picture. Here is our screen. This is our dashboard. And we typically have a conversation around what you see here on the left, and that is our key performance indicators. Okay. And we also have, we also share that we're about 80 to 85% already baked off the shelf. But what is very unique about what we do is that we take 15 to 20% of the voice of the customer, and we begin to ask a lot of questions to develop a statement of work that provides a very customized, very specific application with reports and so forth. And that shouldn't scare anybody away. It allows them to have a deliverable that brings a great deal of satisfaction. We think that it's important to really dig deep in an assessment in the very beginning to be able to provide a deliverable that's going to make them very happy. And so these key performance indicators track the leads that come in every day. At any given time, you can pull up reports on that. The surgeries, where they are in the continuum of care, in the pipeline, how long does it take from the moment that they fill out information, and then how long does it take to get the initial consult and then move on to a scheduled surgery, various statuses. And as you can see in this area here, we have the ability to track, if I can get to some of these reports. These are some of the reports, advocate reports, marketing reports, and so forth. So we have the ability to track what the referral source is. We have the ability to take a look at what the count is in the percentage, family and friends, the internet, physicians, TV, and so forth. So that gives us some very specific ways to determine cost of acquisition of the patients. And that cost of acquisition could be very high. So at the end of the day, when you get the reimbursement, if you're not able to take your expenses out and to determine what your net is, it's just revenue coming into the practice, which is not a bad thing, but it's important to measure that. And then secondly, we can go and drill down on the pay per click if you want to take a look at any of the activity in terms of your various locations that you're doing marketing, a website, Google, Facebook, Twitter, we're able to go ahead and to measure the count and what percentage of those leads come in. And then we're also able to measure the ability to determine what the cost is of acquisition, and then to determine at what point in time are they scheduled for surgery and then post-surgery.
This is so important. I mean, I don't know how many times I consult with the practice. My big thing is I'm a big numbers girl. So making sure that they can track where all their leads are coming from. Are they getting a return on investment in their marketing? Once they come in, what's their conversion rate? Or are they coming in through, what are their primary referral sources? Which ones aren't converting because perhaps the ad's not very effective, or what ones do you need to pay more attention to because you're missing a huge opportunity? So this is so exciting to me. I just think I've never seen anything available that can show you that right within your whole lead tracker. So a lot of practices, when they look at this, they might think, that looks really great, but you know what, we're really crazy busy, and I don't really have a whole lot of time to try to, add another element into our practice. Talk a little bit about the ease or the time frame in terms of having this become live in someone's practice and making that happen.
Sure. I think that if more practices have the mindset of integrating best practices in terms of business, they'll be able to yield more from the reimbursements and not get frustrated and say, you know what, I'm going to sell to the hospital. Because I really am very passionate and have an enormous interest in entrepreneurs who set out to try to build an organization. And if the right tools are brought to the table, they can be very successful because they're measuring the right things. We have an acronym: measure, analyze, and improve. And if you can capture the information, analyze it, you can measure it, then you can improve on it. And so the continuum of care, each step needs to be analyzed, and it's very important to take a look, to be able to take a look at that data, and to be able to do it by clicking a mouse for a report. What has happened is that this product has been in development for over the last 5 years. We just decided to bring it to the marketplace because we saw an enormous problem. Like you're sharing with the audience, we've been hearing it now for quite some time. And what we have seen is that the problem is a very high level of frustration when they get to a certain level of surgeries. They're trying to do the best they can with the tools they have. They're using multiple Excel sheets, but when they have peer-to-peer meetings, getting that information out within a reasonable time frame to share during those meetings is very difficult, and it's really not productive. Right. It's a level of frustration that hits that. So we didn't just go create a piece of software to go sell. We identified a problem that had a need that we have brought this solution to, and they're happy with it. And one of the key things that we do up front is we have what we call a patient flow simulator. It's what we call our ROI calculator, and I won't get into too much detail on that, but you can see that on the Pronex Inc. website under patient flow. But the purpose of this is to make sure, and we take every single step we possibly can to determine whether we're the right fit for you or you're the right fit for us. You may only be doing 50 surgeries a year, and it may not be the fit for you. So those considerations are made. We take in a very careful group of assumptions that allow us to determine what a potential ROI is. And when we open up this calculator and we show this to practices, it's hard to believe how many efficiencies we can drive to their bottom line. They're very, very surprised.
Right, because if you think about that whole pipeline and how often people get sort of lost in the shuffle, or it is delayed because a data point, whether it's a psychological evaluation, something's missing. If you don't have a streamlined process, it really slows that down, causes people to, can affect your patient satisfaction rate. That's really one thing I've seen. The other thing is a lot of practices have a lot of marketing campaigns going, and they put a lot of money into those marketing campaigns. And yet, when you say which one is converting the best for you, it's really hard to get those numbers unless you've got somebody in your practice dedicated to that, which is unrealistic as well. So there certainly does seem to be a lot of ways to streamline that process and save some costs there. And then what's the impact for the patient? Because you and I are both very committed to the patients. That outcome is what's most important, obviously. So what's the impact for the patient when the practice is using the system? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, that's a great question. It really is, understanding the emotional part of the process and how the decision-making process is all part of it that you have to consider. It's not just the bariatric surgical procedure. It is so many different areas that you have to be focused on. You have to be available, whether it's leveraging technology or taking a phone call for the patients. And let's face it, the staff in these bariatric surgical practices only have so much bandwidth. So it only makes sense to leverage technology so you can be in contact. The patient's at the very center of all of this. How do we become more efficient and help to reach out to them so that we can move them through the continuum of care in a very comfortable way, and that the behavioral change process, the educational process is all in play in a very seamless way. How do we do that? And so we think, we know we've cracked the code on that, and we know that we can provide the software that helps in that effort. And I'll give you an example. We have a customer that had put out a marketing campaign for the balloon, and they got 600 leads in. They had a need to inquire about how's the follow-up going, because they weren't getting the results that they had expected. So we ended up having a conversation with them. I said, well, did you pull up this report? And they said, well, what report? And that was, well, when did the advocates get back to them? We found out that the average time that they got back to these potential prospects, potential patients, which is considered leads, and leads are perishable, believe me, they didn't get back to them for 45 days. So because of the price point on the balloon and the ability to go shop that, 600 leads were very perishable, and a lot of them had kind of fallen off or fallen through the crack. And it really kind of, they really saw the value and the power of being able to drill down on the data that they're collecting, analyze it, and then make the changes.
Right. And then we do about close to 30% self-pay, and that balloons, it's that market, and you need to respond, as you say, you need to respond to them very quickly and then help nurture them through that process and that decision-making process. Or they'll either decide it's not for them, or they'll go find another provider. So that's
absolutely. We see that happening all the time. We ask, how many patients do you think have fallen through your pipeline? And they go, and the response is, oh, wow, a lot.
Right.
And then we say, well, do you know where they are at any given time? Well, some of them. Do you know what your conversion rate is? And so as we walk through the key performance indicators, we find out that they are really good in compliance, and they're really good on a couple of other areas. But when it comes to following that patient through the continuum of care and having the ability to text message them, email them, contact them in ways that they are very familiar with,
Right.
even in their own world. I mean, let's face it, everybody's looking at their iPhone or their Android.
Right.
So why not leverage that and have the ability to contact these people, and which also helps to show them that you really care. And what better relationship to have with healthcare than the doctor or a healthcare staff member that can talk with the patient or have some kind of a conversation with them.
Right. And the bottom line, as you and I both know, is the heart's in the right place. They want to be able to communicate with these people. It's having the right tools to be able to make it most efficient. and make it so it's not a burden on themselves or their staff. So that's really, really, really important.
Yeah,
Um,
they're a very passionate group of
mhm,
people in healthcare. I was brought up by a healthcare family, doctors, surgeons, hospital executives, and I said there'd be no way that I'd ever get involved in that because just going to see my dad in his office in the hospital was painful enough. And so I got a big surprise.
yeah,
You know,
right.
I'm now calling on them, and but I got to tell you, there's nothing else. You know, I always wanted to be a rock star guitar player, and but there is nothing else that I would rather be doing than building this company and
Mhm,
serving this particular population. These people, once once you're in. And if you do a good job and you have a great deal of respect for what they do to for the patient
right.
and how these lives are changed,
Yeah,
wow,
it's
what
pretty amazing.
satisfaction! Yeah.
Yeah, we're totally on the same wavelength there. Tell me a little bit because you're out there and you know what's kind of, tell me a little bit about what do you see for the future as healthcare continues to evolve.
So, and we're positioned to provide the services, but I do think that the whole area of patient relationship management is absolutely key because there are so many other services that bariatric surgical practices, which you have cracked the code on, can offer to their patients and even
Mhm,
extend that out further. So keeping in mind that the patient should always be at the very center of everything we do, and then taking the technology and being able to make it very friendly so that they can access information no different than they say, hey, you know what, go do a Google search. You know what, let me go to my practice. They're going to respond pretty quick in terms of teaching me something that I need to know or
right,
providing a startup supplement package that I need. And
right.
so the ability to have that kind of connection
Mm-hmm.
is critical. And another area that is going to be absolutely critical is this whole area of interoperability. We have seen practices change 3 and 4 different EMRs. That's just not necessary. We know that there is no one holy grail out there, and there's no one system that's going to provide everything. It is a multitude of tools that come together for your personal toolbox. And if you have the right guidance and the right business practices and the best methods, you can put together a pretty powerful toolbox that could generate additional revenue, that can help keep you focused on your patient, and also help you to avoid additional full-time employees. You know, leverage technology to the point that you really need it, and then when it's time to hire another FTE, then bring them on.
Right, right. Yeah, I agree. That patient engagement is really important. Adding additional revenue streams for viability, I agree, is very important. And then leveraging technology while still maintaining that personal touch is, I think, going to be key too to differentiate practices one from the other. So
Yeah.
very good points there. Um, there's a lot of different people that listen to the podcast. Some are have an established practice that they're trying to enhance or grow. Other ones are just really out there just starting out their practice and kind of just fresh out and you don't really get a lot of the business side or how to do all these sorts of things. What would be the one piece of advice that you would give to those people?
Well, this is how I started. Think big, start small, move fast. And I think that that mantra has served me very well. I can't boil the ocean in just a second, but I would be very, very laser-like focused on what it is that I do well.
Hmm.
Obviously, I'd be aware of the competition, but I would try to drive efficiencies into the business because a lot of health professionals are very, very good at the relationship between the patient and the doctor, and sometimes that could be to a detriment. And I think you have to take into consideration, you know, the business part, the corporate part of the practice. You have to take a look at your human resources, and most definitely have to take a look at the relationship of the patient. And you may start out small, And the things that you're doing, Carol, with the various profit centers are absolutely critical. But sometimes I guess their bandwidth is exhausted, and it takes up so much time to just take care of the day to day. Well, have conversations with vendors, consult with people that have been very successful, and take a look at what they're doing, and then adapt to it. And it's that time frame for adoption when you first start out. And I've talked to a lot of bariatric physicians and a lot of bariatric surgeons, and when they first start out, there's this resistance and sometimes this hesitation to move forward with tools that are going to be helpful. They think that they can, do it all themselves. And as we know, you can't do that. So surrounding yourself with wise counsel and the right team is absolutely critical. And also, identify what the core competencies are of each one of them so that you can be successful at growing your practice. Because the last thing you want to do is invest 5 years and go, you know what, this is not for me. I'm going to sell out and go work for somebody.
Right, exactly. That's great advice. And how about one of the other things I'm really big on is personal development, because I think obviously as you grow yourself throughout your career, it can bring great success, or it can bring problems. So I wonder, from your perspective, what might you share, at least some of your personal habits that's contributed to your success?
Well, golf is definitely one part of it.
Smoking
a cigar once in a while is the other part of it. But no, I surround myself with people that have a like-mindedness in terms of the business. I'm engaged in discussions and how we can get better at what we do. I love collaboration. I think, and I do that in a number of different areas. But for me, if you pressed me and said, Fred, what's the one thing? And we hear it over and over again, and it's tenacity. It's a determination to set aside anything else other than living out your passion for a particular subject, a particular business, or something that your heart really beats for. I wake up very early in the morning, and I can't wait to begin my day. Yeah, it's filled with challenges and so forth, but at the end of the day, I know I'm doing something that is going to have an impact in people's lives. And if you can align yourself with what your passion is, and I had a conversation with a friend of mine that runs a company just 2 days ago, and he has to go in for some surgery for the eye. And I began to think about, wow, somebody has dedicated their entire career to doing surgery on the eye. I mean, removing the cornea and replacing it with another, cornea, or doing bariatric surgery. This is serious stuff. And these people have committed their entire life to this. And you got to ask the question, what is it about that? And we have, I got to say, the one thing that surfaces to the top is tenacity, a balanced life as much as you can accomplish, and but loving what you do. If you can find out what you love to do, and you can stick to it, not worry about the money or worry about anything else, the money will follow.
Right. Good advice. And you have shared some very inspirational thoughts today, and also some great business advice, which I really, really appreciate. And one of the other things I really like about you is your sense of passion and your integrity too, which is really important to me as well in serving these bariatric surgeons and bariatric practices. I was just wondering if you could, here toward the end, share a little bit about how people might be able to reach you if they have some additional questions or wanted to have some sort of a evaluation in your practice. How might the best way to get a hold of you?
Great. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Fred Pira. The name of the company is Pronex Inc., INC. you can go to our website and look under our solutions, and there's a number of different places that offer the opportunity to have a discovery call or have an assessment done simply by going to Pronex Inc., www.pronexinc.com. So you can go to either one of those locations, and somebody from the team will reach out to you, or and then get something scheduled to have a conversation.
Right. Well, that's exciting. So it's Pronex, Pronex, Inc.com, right?
All one word, yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Well, just so listeners know, it's not like I'm some sort of an affiliate of Fred's or anything like that. I just really believe in the services. I guess I see the value, the immense value of the services that he's offering, and I'm also pretty stoked about the fact that your patient flow can interact basically with any EMR that somebody has in place. So that's really pretty cool too. So when I find,
I might add one thing, Carol, on that note, that whether you're an independent practice or part of a hospital system, we are very appealing and very helpful to any of those types of organizations. So it's not just the independent surgical practice that finds our tools helpful, it's also hospital systems.
Right, so large or small, and making that integration very easy. So if I'm out there and I find something that I've done some due diligence on, and I find it's a great, valuable resource, I feel like it's my duty to share it with people. So I'm really excited. I've been excited to get to know you and your products so much better, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to share your advice and share what you have going on with your preparation with the listeners and with the bariatric surgeons, bariatric programs out there. So I really appreciate it, Fred. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. We appreciate it too. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, well, great. Well, until our next episode, everybody, have a great week. Continue doing all the awesome things that you do for your patients. And I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions about anything discussed today or anything related to the 5 profit engines, it's Carol, Karol, at weightlosspracticebuilder.com. Always happy to help. So thanks so much. Brad, you have a great day.
You too, Carol. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
That's all for this episode of Build the Weight Loss Practice of Your Dreams. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and visit weightlosspracticebuilder.com to stay up to date on more ways to build a successful practice that you love with results, revenue, and referrals. We look forward to having you join us next time.